Alright, so in the last video we were able to do the explosions. Okay, so we got everything down for the explosions. Whenever we shoot, looks really cool. Perfect explosions, which is fantastic. Now the only thing is that now when the meteor hits the ship, there's nothing there. But that's okay because we also made a small explosions list, right? So in the last video we made a small explosions list. As we came down here, right, we uploaded the image, we converted it to a large image, but we also converted it to a small image by scaling it and then adding it to this list. So this list now, as soon as you start the program, it does that, and now you have 9 small scaled images for the same exact explosion. So instead of now having it when a bullet hits a meteor, we can focus the small explosions to see if a meteor hits a ship, right? But now, right now, if we're going to do that, there are a couple things that we need to do first, right? The first thing is let's scroll up to the player class, which is all the way up here. Wow, that's a lot of code now. And we're going to just add self.health. Okay, and we'll leave it at 100. So this is going to be like the ship's health. Okay, and then we'll scroll all the way back down here. Okay, all the way back down, and we're going to change this if to a for loop. Okay, the reason being is because now that we're incorporating multiple meteors being able to hit the ship, we're going to have multiple instances of collisions. And so we want to go through each collision, and for each collision that occurs, we want to be able to grab that center of the meteor and then show an explosion, create an explosion for that. Okay, the if meteor just means the word if just implies that there is something within this list, right? But we don't want to like, okay, great, it's in the list, but now we want to do it for every single collision within that list. Okay, so that's the meaning behind this changing of the for loop. So we'll say for, I don't know, okay, hit and meteor collision. We'll take off the running false, okay? And what we'll do now is the same thing as before. So expl is equal to explosion. So, and we're going to be setting a small explosion list that way. And we'll be using hit dot rect dot center. Okay, last time it was collision because that was our little temporary variable here, and then now we're using hit. I mean, I could really just change this to collision and it'll be collision dot rect dot center, and it would be the same thing. It might be easier for you to do that. And then as soon as you're done, all sprites dot add. Okay, I'm going to add all of these to the group. That way we can control drawing them to the screen, updating them. And now just imagine they both hit each other. Okay, what's gonna happen? Is the ship gonna go away? Is the meteor gonna go away? Well, if there's an explosion, right, we're gonna probably have to spawn a new meteor, which we can do by just calling the function that we wrote earlier a couple of videos ago, right? That was right up here where we have spawn new meteor. Okay, so this will create that for us. And this also just goes to show like the beauty of just calling a function is that we don't have to put those 3 lines there now and make it look so, you know, robust and so many lines in one thing. Okay, we can just call this one function. And after that, we also need to have some kind of a hit, right? So what happens now to the player's health? So maybe we can do that here, and we do player. Now notice that at the top, inside the player class, I had self.health, right? Because we're inside the player class. If I want to gain access to that attribute, I need to write the name of the class, player.health. And what we want to do is minus equals. Okay, that's the same thing as saying player.health minus, I don't know, I'm going to do minus 10 for now. Okay, this is not going to stay that way. It's there for actually I'll do minus 5. So every single time a meteor hits us, we're only going to lose 5 health. That's just there for a reason. But it's not going to stay there. So this, okay, instead of writing this piece here, you can actually take away all of this and just put minus equals. Same thing. Okay, it says whatever the player health is, just take away 5 from that. All right. So is that it? I believe that might be it. I'm sure I'm probably missing something. I'll just check it out and see. Oh, you know what we're missing? I already know what we're missing. All right. You know the whole running the game, right? How do we know the game's done? So if player.health is less than or equal to 0, then we can say running is equal to false. At least that way we know that that the game will eventually end some point. But what you would have also noticed when I played that is if you looked at the way the meteor hit the ship, like what did you notice? Okay, so let's just run that again really quickly. All right, so I'm gonna have one meteor hit me if possible. One meteor right here. Bam. You see all of that? You saw how it just like it was like explosions after explosions lined up, and then the game ended. And the game can only end if I ran out of health. But how is that possible if I was only taking away 5 points each time there was a hit when I have 100 health, right? It should have taken 20 hits. I should have been able to withstand 20 hits, but it ended. The reason being is because here, okay, we're testing the collisions, but we have this as false, which means that we're telling the program don't get rid of the meteor when there's a collision. If you don't get rid of the meteor, then when the meteor touches the ship, that's a hit, right? We're not getting rid of it, but it's still going down. The meteor still has a direction. It's going down. Hit, 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 hit. It eventually, with all, with 60 frames per second, it goes right through, just completely, uh, um, wipes out our health 5 times each time, and that's why. So we're gonna just go ahead and change this to true, so that when there is a single collision, it's gone. And changing that to true will change a lot of things. So now, there we go. We have that piece, okay? And so now we're walking around, and we can get hit a bunch of different times, right? You see that if I get hit on the right side, I get hit on the right side. The explosion's there. Okay, now explosions probably won't be super perfect. There are ways that might be a little bit beyond the scope of what I want to do, of how to have more accurate explosions there. But this is works for me. All right, so the only thing I want to do now is I want to actually not take this. Instead, let's make the health maybe the radius times, I don't know, like 0. Let's do times 2. Okay, so this would be the diameter of the meteor, right? Because the radius is the distance between the middle of the center of the circle to the outside, and so times that by 2. Now you have the diameter, and that's pretty much the entire meteor for the most part. Even though it's an irregular object, that's okay. All right. And the last thing now is we can't even see what our health is. Now I'm just gonna just add this piece here, and of course we will be changing this. There's no way in the world we're gonna leave this, but I'm just gonna just have this here so you can kind of like see what it was. So instead of score, we player dot health, and I'm just putting this here just so that you're able to see a little bit easier that the health is actually going down. Okay, it'll be in the top left corner of your screen. You see health of 100, and then as we get hit every single time, that one hit the negatives, and then that automatically went to that if statement. If the player is less than or equal to 0, running is equal to false, right? So that's the way it works for hitting the ship. In the next video, what we'll do is we're gonna get rid of this, and we'll have the actual bar health, and I'll show you how to do that, and then we'll start creating the player lives, and we'll even have little tiny images of the player ship as the lives, as you normally see. Okay, if you thought this was awesome and it helped you out, please give it a like. Thank you. Bye, guys.